Nobody cares. Let that sink in. Not your friends. Not your family. Not the people who said they believed in you. Because when it comes down to results, when it comes down to pressure, when it comes down to building something real, you are on your own. The world doesn't pause because you're struggling. It doesn't adjust because you're tired. It doesn't reward you for trying. It rewards those who show up again and again when it's hard. And right now, while you're thinking about whether to start, someone else already did. While you're hesitating, someone else is executing. While you're waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is building a life you'll one day wish you had. That's the part nobody tells you. There is no perfect time, no perfect condition, no moment where everything suddenly aligns. There is only now. And what you do with it. Most people waste it. They scroll. They complain. They overthink. They tell themselves stories to feel better about standing still. I'll start tomorrow. I need more time. I'm not ready yet. But tomorrow turns into next week. Next week turns into next year. And one day you wake up realizing you didn't lose because you couldn't win. You lost because you never really started. Because deep down, you were waiting for someone to care. Waiting for recognition. Waiting for support. Waiting for permission. But the truth is, nobody is watching like you think they are. Nobody is keeping score of your effort. Nobody is coming to rescue you from your own excuses. And that's not a sad truth. That's your advantage. Because the moment you truly accept that nobody cares, you become dangerous. You stop seeking validation. You stop announcing your plans. You stop explaining why things aren't working. And you start doing the only thing that actually matters. Work. Hard work. Uncomfortable work. Work that nobody claps for. Work that nobody notices. Work that builds you in silence. You wake up earlier. You stay disciplined longer. You push when your mind is begging you to stop. Not because it feels good, but because you understand something most people don't. Your future is built in moments like this. Moments where you don't feel like it. Moments where it's inconvenient. Moments where quitting would be easier. That's where everything changes. That's where winners are separated from everyone else. Not in talent. Not in luck. But in their willingness to keep going when nobody cares. At some point, you have to stop lying to yourself. You say you want more. More money. More freedom. More respect. A better life. But your actions don't match it. And that gap, between what you say and what you do, that's where most people lose. Not because they're incapable. Not because they're unlucky. But because they're inconsistent. They move when they feel motivated. They stop when it gets uncomfortable. They quit the moment it stops being exciting. And then they wonder why nothing changes. But this path, the one you're choosing, it doesn't care about motivation. It runs on discipline. Discipline when you're tired. Discipline when you're bored. Discipline when nobody is watching and nobody would even know if you stopped. Because that's the real test. Not what you do when you feel good, but what you do when you don't. Anyone can be focused for a day. Anyone can be driven for a week. But can you stay locked in when it's repetitive? When it's slow? When results aren't showing yet? That's where most people disappear. They start strong. They talk big. They announce their goals. But when reality hits, they fade. Silently. No explanation. No closure. Just another person who almost did something. Don't be that person. Because the truth is, success is not complicated. It's uncomfortable. It's waking up when you don't want to. It's doing the work you keep avoiding. It's saying no to distractions that feel good in the moment but cost you everything long term. It's choosing growth over comfort, every single time. And that choice, it's not made once. It's made daily. Over and over again. That's why most people never make it. Because they're not willing to become the kind of person it requires. They want the outcome, but not the identity. They want results, but not the process. They want to win, but they don't want to suffer. But you can't separate the two. The struggle is the process. The boredom is the process. The repetition is the process. That's what builds you. That's what sharpens your mind. That's what strengthens your discipline. That's what turns you into someone who doesn't need motivation anymore. Because now, you operate differently. You don't wait to feel ready. You don't negotiate with your excuses. You don't ask yourself, should I do it today? You just do it. Automatically. Relentlessly. Like it's part of who you are. And that's the shift. The moment where this stops being something you try to do and becomes who you are. Because once it becomes identity, it's no longer optional. You don't skip. You don't hesitate. You don't fall off. You execute. Every day. Even when it's boring. Even when it's hard. Even when it feels like nothing is happening. Because you understand something deeper now. Consistency compounds. Every hour you put in. Every distraction you ignore. Every time you choose discipline over comfort. It's stacking. Quietly. And one day, it shows. Not gradually. Not softly. But all at once. And people will look at you and say, you're lucky. You changed overnight. You're different now. But they didn't see the early mornings. They didn't see the late nights. They didn't see the days you didn't feel like it but did it anyway. They didn't see the version of you that was building when nobody cared. And that's why you can't do this for them. You can't do this for approval. You can't do this for attention. You can't do this to prove a point. Because those things fade. This has to be for you. For the standard you refuse to drop. For the life you refuse to settle without. For the version of yourself that you know you're capable of becoming. Because at the end of the day, it all comes back to one question. Are you willing to do what most people won't? For longer than most people can? No shortcuts. No excuses. No waiting. Just work. Hard work. There's a part of this journey nobody prepares you for. The silence. The distance. The slow separation from the life you used to live. Because as you start to take this seriously, as you start to raise your standards, as you start to move with discipline, things change. Not just around you, but within you. You stop enjoying what used to distract you. You stop relating to conversations that go nowhere. You stop finding comfort in things that once felt normal. And suddenly, you feel alone. Not because people disappeared, but because you evolved. And that's the price. The part nobody posts. The part nobody celebrates. The part that makes most people turn back. Because it's uncomfortable to outgrow your environment. It's uncomfortable to walk a path that people around you don't understand. They'll question you. They'll doubt you. Some will even try to pull you back. Not because they hate you, but because your growth exposes their comfort. Your discipline reminds them of their inconsistency. Your focus highlights their distractions. And instead of rising, they'll try to make you shrink, so they can feel normal again. That's why you have to be careful. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not everyone deserves to understand your vision. Not everyone deserves to walk this path with you. Because this journey, it requires sacrifice. You will miss out on things. You will say no more than you say yes. You will choose work over comfort, growth over entertainment, purpose over pleasure. And some people won't understand that. They'll call you too serious. They'll say you've changed. They'll act like you're doing too much. But what they don't see is, you're doing what's necessary. Because average effort creates average results. And you've already seen what average looks like. You've already felt what it's like to stay stuck. You've already experienced the frustration of knowing you could be more, but not acting on it. So now, you move differently. You protect your time. You guard your focus. You become selective with your energy. Because you understand something most people ignore. Your environment shapes you. The people you listen to. The things you consume. The habits you repeat daily. They either build you, or they break you. There is no neutral. Every day you are either getting stronger, or you are getting weaker. Every day you are either moving forward, or you are falling behind. And the dangerous part is, it doesn't always feel like it. Comfort feels harmless. Distractions feel small. Delays feel temporary. But they add up. Quietly. Until one day, you look back and realize, you wasted time you can't get back. That's why you have to be ruthless. Ruthless with your time. Ruthless with your habits. Ruthless with your standards. Not in a loud way, but in a disciplined, controlled, intentional way. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it. You just live it. Daily. Because the truth is, mental toughness isn't built in big moments. It's built in the small ones. The moment you choose to get up instead of snoozing. The moment you choose to work instead of scrolling. The moment you keep going when your mind is telling you to stop. Those moments stack. They build resilience. They build focus. They build a version of you that doesn't fold under pressure. And once you reach that point, everything changes. Because now, life can hit you, and you don't break. You adapt. You adjust. You keep moving. No excuses. No complaints. No waiting. Just progress. Even if it's slow. Even if it's hard. Even if nobody sees it. Because you're no longer doing this for recognition. You're doing it because you've seen what happens if you don't. You've seen where comfort leads. You've seen what excuses create. You've seen how easy it is to stay the same. And you refuse that life. So you accept the trade-off. The loneliness. The discipline. The pressure. Because you know something most people never fully accept. Everything you want is on the other side of everything you avoid. The work. The discomfort. The sacrifice. That's the gate. And most people never walk through it. And the hardest part? It doesn't end. There's no moment where it suddenly becomes easy. No stage where discipline is no longer required. No level where you can finally relax and expect everything to maintain itself. Because the moment you ease up, you slip. Not instantly, not dramatically, but slowly, quietly. You start skipping the small things. You start negotiating with your standards. You tell yourself, just this once. And that, once, becomes a habit. That's how people fall off. Not because they failed, but because they got comfortable. They reached a point where they felt good enough, where the hunger faded, where the edge disappeared. And without that edge, they started to decline. That's why this isn't just about building success. It's about maintaining it, protecting it, evolving with it. Because the version of you that gets results is not the same version that keeps them. You have to grow again. You have to push again. You have to demand more from yourself again. Over and over. There is no final form. Only levels. And every level requires a new version of you. A sharper mindset. A stronger discipline. A higher tolerance for pressure. Because pressure doesn't go away. It increases. Responsibility increases. Expectations increase. The stakes get higher. And if you're not prepared for that, you fold. That's why you have to train your mind now. Not later. Now. While it's hard. While it's uncomfortable. While it feels like nothing is working. Because this phase, this exact phase, is where you build the foundation. This is where you develop the habits that carry you forward. This is where you create the mindset that doesn't break under pressure. This is where you prove to yourself that you can keep going, no matter what. And once you prove that, you become different. You stop fearing difficulty. You stop avoiding challenges. You stop looking for the easy way out. Because you've already faced the hard part. Starting. Continuing. Showing up when it doesn't feel worth it. That's what separates you. Not talent. Not luck. Not connections. Standards. The standards you set. And the standards you refuse to lower. Because at the end of the day, you always fall to your standards. Not your goals. Your goals are just ideas. Your standards are your reality. If your standards are low, your life reflects it. If your standards are inconsistent, your results follow. But when your standards are non-negotiable, everything changes. You don't skip. You don't delay. You don't make excuses. You execute. Even when it's inconvenient. Even when it's uncomfortable. Even when nobody would know if you didn't. Because now, it's not about motivation. It's about identity. This is who you are. The one who shows up. The one who finishes. The one who keeps going when everyone else stops. And that identity, it comes with a cost. You will be misunderstood. You will be doubted. You will be underestimated. People will look at your discipline and call it obsession. They'll look at your focus and call it isolation. They'll look at your ambition and call it unrealistic. Let them. Because those same people will watch you later and ask how you did it. They'll say you got lucky. They'll say you had something they didn't. But you'll know the truth. It was the days you didn't feel like it. It was the times you wanted to quit but didn't. It was the sacrifices nobody saw. That's what built you. And that's what most people will never understand. Because they never stayed long enough to see it through. They quit in the middle. In the boring phase. In the slow phase. In the phase where results are invisible. But that's the phase that matters most. That's where the real work happens. That's where discipline is tested. That's where character is built. That's where you separate yourself from everyone else. Not by doing something extraordinary, but by doing the ordinary. Every single day. Without fail. And that's rare. Because most people need excitement to stay consistent. They need validation to stay motivated. They need results to stay committed. But you don't. You stay locked in regardless. No applause. No recognition. No immediate reward. Just work. Day after day. Week after week. Month after month. Until one day, it pays off. And when it does, it won't feel like luck. It will feel earned. Because you know exactly what it took. You know how many times you wanted to stop. You know how many moments tested you. You know how many sacrifices you made. And you didn't break. You didn't fold. You didn't quit. That's what makes the difference. That's what builds something real. Because in a world full of people looking for shortcuts, you chose the hard path. And that decision changes everything. And if you're being honest with yourself, you already know what you need to do. It's not a mystery. It's not hidden. It's not something you need more time to figure out. You know. You know the habits you've been avoiding. You know the work you keep delaying. You know the version of yourself you keep running from. That voice in your head. The one that tells you to step up. To go harder. To stop playing small. That voice has been there the whole time. You just haven't been listening. Because listening means responsibility. Listening means you can't pretend anymore. You can't make excuses anymore. You can't blame your situation, your past, or other people. It all falls back on you. And that's heavy. Because once you accept that, you lose the comfort of denial. You lose the safety of, maybe later. You lose the illusion that things will somehow fix themselves. Now it's clear. It's on you. Your life. Your results. Your future. No one else is coming to carry that weight. And for some people, that realization breaks them. But for others, it builds them. It sharpens them. It creates a level of focus that most people never reach. Because now, there's no distraction strong enough to pull you away. No excuse convincing enough to slow you down. No fear powerful enough to stop you. Because you've faced the truth. And you accepted it. So now you move differently. You don't wait for the perfect mood. You don't depend on motivation. You don't need someone to push you. You push yourself. Every single day. Even when your energy is low. Even when your mind is tired. Even when everything around you feels uncertain. You still show up. Because you've realized something deeper. Feelings are temporary. But standards define everything. If you only act when you feel good, you'll stay inconsistent. If you only move when it's convenient, you'll stay average. If you only push when it's easy, you'll never reach your potential. So you stop listening to how you feel. And you start acting based on who you decided to become. That's control. That's power. And that's rare. Because most people are controlled by their emotions. They wake up and decide their day based on how they feel. They quit based on discomfort. They avoid anything that challenges them. And that's why they stay stuck. Not because they can't do more, but because they won't. They choose comfort over growth, ease over effort, distraction over discipline. And those choices, they compound. Just like your discipline compounds. Just like your consistency compounds. Every decision you make is building something. Either the life you want, or the life you're trying to escape. There is no middle ground. You are always becoming something. So the question is, what are you becoming right now? Are you becoming someone reliable? Or someone who makes excuses? Are you becoming someone disciplined? Or someone who starts and stops? Are you becoming someone focused? Or someone constantly distracted? Because the truth is, you don't suddenly become great one day. You become it through repetition. Through the days you didn't skip. Through the moments you chose effort over comfort. Through the times you stayed consistent when it would have been easier to quit. That's what shapes you. That's what defines you. Not what you say. Not what you plan. But what you do, consistently. And once you understand that, you stop overcomplicating everything. You stop looking for hacks. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop waiting for the perfect strategy. Because you realize, it was never about that. It was about execution. Relentless, daily, focused execution. Doing what needs to be done. Whether you feel like it or not. That's it. Simple. But not easy. And that's why so few people actually do it. Because it requires something most people aren't willing to give. Total responsibility. No blaming. No complaining. No waiting. Just ownership. Of your time. Of your actions. Of your results. Good or bad. Because when you take ownership, you take control. And when you take control, you remove every excuse standing in your way. Now it's just you. And the work. Nothing else. No noise. No distraction. No escape. Just the reality of what needs to be done. And the decision. Whether you're finally going to do it. Or keep watching your life stay the same. So now you have a choice. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. You can keep doing what you've been doing. Keep thinking the same way. Keep delaying, hesitating, waiting. And nothing changes. Or, you decide that this is where it ends. The excuses? The inconsistency. The version of you that keeps starting and stopping. You draw a line. Right here. And you become someone else. Not through words. Not through motivation. But through action. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Not what you say you'll do. Not what you plan to do. Not what you wish you could do. What you actually do. Daily. Repeatedly. Without fail. That's what builds everything. And the truth is, you don't need more information. You don't need another video. You don't need another strategy. You don't need more time to figure it out. You already know enough. You've heard enough. You've waited enough. What you need is to move. To start. To stop overthinking and begin executing. Because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes. Not physically. Mentally. You start doubting yourself more. You start questioning your ability. You start convincing yourself that maybe this isn't for you. And that's how people give up. Before they even begin. Don't let that be you. Don't let another month pass where you're in the same position. Don't let another year go by where nothing has changed. Because time doesn't slow down for you. It keeps moving. Every single day. And every day you don't act is a day you don't get back. A day that could have been used to build something, to improve something, to become something. But instead, it's gone. And eventually, that adds up. Until one day you look back and realize you had the opportunity. You had the time. You had the ability. But you didn't use it. Not because you couldn't, but because you didn't. That regret, it hits harder than failure ever will. Because failure means you tried. Failure means you pushed. Failure means you stepped into discomfort. But regret? Regret comes from inaction. From knowing you could have done more, but chose not to. And that stays with you. So don't choose that path. Choose the harder one. The one that requires discipline. The one that demands consistency. The one that forces you to grow. Because even though it's harder, it leads somewhere. It builds something. It turns you into someone you can respect. And that matters. More than validation. More than attention. More than what anyone else thinks. Because at the end of all of this, you're the one you have to live with. Your decisions. Your habits. Your standards. That's your life. So raise them. Raise your standards to a level where excuses don't fit anymore. Where laziness feels uncomfortable. Where discipline becomes your default. Because once you reach that point, you don't need motivation. You don't need reminders. You don't need someone to push you. You become unstoppable. Not because you're perfect, but because you're consistent. Because you don't quit. Because you don't fold under pressure. Because you've trained yourself to keep going. No matter what. And that's the difference. That's what separates people who talk from people who actually build something. So take this moment seriously. Don't let it just be another video you watch. Another message you agree with. Another idea that fades away. Use it. Apply it. Act on it. Because information without action is useless. And you're better than that. You're capable of more than that. But capability means nothing without execution. So execute. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. And then do it again tomorrow. And the next day. And the next day. Until it becomes who you are. Until discipline feels normal. Until hard work feels natural. Until quitting is no longer an option in your mind. That's when everything changes. That's when results show. That's when momentum builds. That's when your life starts moving in a completely different direction. But it all begins with a decision. Right now. So decide. And once you do, don't look back.